Okay, we are starting.
Yay!
Yay! So,
Hi.
welcome, Kara, welcome, Asami, and welcome everyone else who join us later. My
Yay.
name is Huan. I'm an Access Consciousness Facilitator, and Lorene is a very close friend of mine. She's a miracle worker, amazing facilitator. So, today's topic is break free from your hoarding.
Mm-hmm. And we are totally actually really not talking about stuff like clothing and books and things like that. We're not really actually talking about that. That could be part of your hoarding for sure.
Yeah.
But what we're actually talking today about is about energetic hoarding. And what does that look like? So I'd like to ask you guys, Masami, for example, what does hoarding mean to you?
Mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say, holding it. No need blah of my mind chatter.
Cool.
Mm.
All right. That's an excellent definition.
Debris of the mind chatter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Sort of.
That's fantastic. I love it. If anybody else wishes to pop in, you can unmute yourself or chuck it up in the chat as to what hoarding means to you. Juan, what does hoarding mean to you?
Anything that I use to hold me back. For me, like the more you ask me about holding as this class came up, the more I realized how much I'm holding. Like I was like these are things that I like Masami said, like in the mind, the chatter in the mind, but it's also like things we think we hold on so tightly, we hold so valuable and so significant that we're unwilling to let go. Money can be hoarded. You can hoard money. You can hoard no money. You can hoard the need to be right. I was hoarding dentistry for a while. You can hold a person, a relationship that you know that it can be okay relationship, but it's just not expanding your life, and you're like, I wanna shoot for the star, whereas you are sitting on the moon going, oh, the moon's good enough. I guess I'll hold on to the moon then. For me, anything that stops me from moving forward fast is what I'm holding.
Love that. I love that. And it's really interesting for me because I look at hoarding and I go, like I've been known to hoard people in my world.
Oh yeah, you're great at that.
In fact, I've just recently let a person or a couple of people go, and I didn't actually realize how much I was hoarding them because it was part of my work. And until I let them go, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got so much freedom now. Holy moly, like my body is so much lighter not having them in my world. And I'm just like, wow. And I'm just creating like mad. I've made amazing connections today. And I mean, this is from yesterday, you know, and as we know, with any calls or stuff that's kind of access consciousness based, these things start really contributing and creating in your world before the thing happens, before the class happens, before the call happens. And that's certainly been the case for me this week. And I just sort of looked at a whole bunch of areas where there could be some energetic hoarding. And it's like things like this particular relationship that I've let go. And I'm like, oh, wow. You know, and I was just reading a post that somebody had put in one of the other groups that I shared about this call. And she said, as a reformed hoarder in the 90s, I can say that clearing my life of clutter made room for so much more, and blocks disappeared I didn't even know were caused by the clutter. Like, yes, that. And that's really what we're talking about today. It's all those blocks that we use, which create, you know, the clutter that we have in our lives, whether it be a big pile of clothes sticking in our bedroom or you know, that sort of stuff. that's really only the symptom. It really is only the symptom. Whether you've got a big pile of dishes sitting in your sink, or your car really needs a service and you haven't got it seen to yet because you've always got too much to do. It's like, what's actually going to create more here?
You just reminded me of a few pile of things in my house.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Exactly. And Lorraine, this topic actually came up when we had a conversation about someone, and then you mentioned that in the COP last year or the year before, Gary had. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Thank you for running bars. Absolutely. That's a huge contribution. Thanks, ladies.
We'll receive it too.
Yep. Happily.
Yes, and Gary has mentioned hoarding in that COP, and Lorene is so smart. She wrote it down, which I completely forgot what he said. Please share.
He said hoarding is a violence against the future.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Masami, you have something to share. We like it.
Yeah. May I just please?
Mm-hmm.
I think that holding means that for me, keeping us being present at the implants like regrets, past regrets, and something retouched, related to the stick to the strong feeling in the past matters, and not keeping us not being present and creating something new at present. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So
very much holding on to the past is very much hoarding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anything that stops us from being present and creating for the future. Yeah, I think you probably could call that a form of hoarding, amongst other things. And how much do we hoard those distractor implants, like what you were just talking about? The blame, shame, regret, and guilt.
Kind
they're
of.
So precious. They're what churches have been using for years.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I love our conversations.
And you're all familiar with the access clearing statement. We won't say them out loud, but if you require, you can do the clearing yourself.
Yes. Otherwise, we'll just say, are you willing to let that go now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you can do the old access clearing statement in your head if you like.
Exactly. So everywhere that we have been holding the past and our projection of what the future is, that stops you from actually creating what's possible for you. Would you like to let it go, please?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yum. Wow, that's a good one. Wonder what else we could talk about there. All of those, like those distractor implants. Like, I'm assuming you guys know about distractor implants. The blame, shame, regret, and guilt. Let's see if I can read it from here. Anger, rage, fury, and hate. Oh my goodness. How much do we hoard anger, rage, fury, and hate? Holy. Wow, that has a lot of charge on it. So, are we willing to let all that go now?
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, that's so good. And the other thing we can do now is everything and all that's bringing up right now, let's collapse it all down to source energy and expand out. Oh, yay. So when we're hoarding energy, how does that affect our lives, Huan? How does that affect our relationships? Let's start with that one.
I would solidify everything. To me, is pretty much slows it down. If you tap into the energy of the relationship you're creating right now, and really lower your barrier, expand and allow yourself to really see, like, just think of one relationship, whether it's marriage or relationship with your parents. Oh,
Don't know about that one.
whatever that is, if this relationship is its own entity and you don't have to hold on to it, you can ask this relationship, hey relationship, how would you like to develop? How would you like to grow? How would you like to become? Does this change? Is it expanding? It doesn't mean that you have to stay in it. It doesn't mean that you have to step out of it. It's just asking the relationship, hey, is this relationship actually desiring to change moment by moment?
Yeah, exactly. And so when you're hoarding energetic stuff, and it's very much what Wasami was saying about the past stuff. So when we're hoarding the past and bringing that into our relationships now, it comes up as those things that, you know, say a previous partner or maybe even your parents did, that you then apply to this relationship. And it's stuff often that is not a contribution. It's things like, I can think of an instance in my life with my first marriage where I had to do, when we moved, and we moved house a lot. And I ended up having to do the moving of the house all the time out on my own. And except for the actual heavy lifting of putting the stuff into a truck and out of the truck, everything was my responsibility to do because my partner just wasn't interested. And then when it came time for me to move into the house we're in now, a totally different relationship, by the way, like several boyfriends and husbands later. And my current partner was so desiring to be at my cottage and help me move and stuff, but couldn't because he was working. And I had that moment where I said, fine, I'll do it myself. It's fine. And energetically, I had just pulled everything, all of that baggage through from the past, from like nearly 20 years ago, plop straight into our relationship. And I just stopped and I went, whoa, I am so sorry. That was a first marriage moment. I'm really sorry. I know that doesn't apply to you. And that was the point where I stopped that energetic hoarding of all of that past baggage. So everything and all that brings up for you guys, we now collapse that all down to source energy, right? And expand that all out. Fantastic. So yeah, energetic hoarding of relationships can be very detrimental to your current relationship.
Yeah, and even if you're holding your any definition or projection of your current relationship, of what it was, of what it should be, what it could be, as a projection, as in when you get married, you swear to God that you're gonna be together forever, in sickness or health and blah blah. I can't even remember. We both, me and my husband, both forgotten our vows. Have no desire to renew it either. So so when you're holding that, whatever significance that you have put onto that relationship, you really are not allowing the relationship to change and not allowing the other person to contribute, or you yourself to contribute to the relationship. You're pretty much creating something out of a model from your head, which never works.
No. So how do you get around that, Huan?
Pon and poking. Well, I let it go. I'm sorry, Lorene. We said we won't do clear statement here, and it's such a
it's fun to try and not do it.
So,
we hear you.
So if you're, I think the one thing is, the first thing is, are you willing to acknowledge that you're doing it? The moment you shed light on it, you pretty much can change anything. Like let it go, collapse it into source energy, expand. That's pretty much another way of saying, okay, I will not choose this anymore. What else can I choose now?
Yeah, anything that you don't acknowledge, just it can control you and it can batter you around a lot.
Yeah.
And so you become at the effect of it. But as soon as you actually acknowledge what you're doing and acknowledge what's going on there, energetically or not, like physically or energetically, once you acknowledge it, it has less effect on you. And then you have the ability to change that, to choose to change that, and to make a different choice.
And how much blindfolding are we holding so that we will never, ever, ever see what we are holding? So we can never, ever need to acknowledge that we're holding it, so we can keep it forever, ever, and amen.
Oh, that's fun.
Would you like to let it go, please?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I can
Great.
see the energies flowing over at Carol's house. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. So, yeah, and how does it affect financial flows? So we've talked about relationships just briefly. How does it affect financial flows to be energetically hoarding?
To me, there are quite a few ways of hoarding with money. Do I start or do you start?
Go for it.
You can hoard the lack of money. You can hoard wanting money and not having money. You can even hoard money in the form of saving. Like I know quite a few people in my life who enjoys hoarding saving. Well, we're Chinese. I came from Chinese family. It's the only way of holding onto money that you can pretty much, by the age of 30, you can pretty much predict how much money you're gonna have by the time you retire, because according to the percentage you're saving. Yeah, like you hold on so tight to the saving as if that's the only way to create money and have money. To me, that's holding as well. And like for me, pretty much anything that stops the energy from flowing, from creating more, from expanding more. What else?
So money hoarding is really interesting, and I love how you were talking about hoarding the lack of money and wanting money. And it's like people almost get a pleasure out of hoarding the lack of money. So they really enjoy not having the money or having like this real major drop. The drop in money, so that then they can prove just how awesome they are at creating money, so that then they'll pick back up again. And I know that's certainly been the truth for me for a long time, is I've hoarded the lack of money so that I can prove just what an awesome creator I am. Like I can budget so well on almost nothing. And it's like, I think it was maybe even Huan who said to me, you must really enjoy that. And I'm like, huh?
Like
You are my crazy Asian Chinese financial advisor, you know.
Wow, thank you. And I like Lorene said, with hoarding that it's almost like with hoarding lack of money, this is an area that we can talk for 3 days pretty much. Like what are you trying to create here? Like what's underneath the hoarding of not having no money? What's that?
Absolutely. And I get that. For me, that was a connection point. I was hoarding connection points with people, because for me, I'm such a weird, wacky, woo-woo person that for me to have a lack of money became a connection point for me to be able to talk with other people. It became something that I could relate with someone else. it's like, oh yes, life is so hard and financially everything's up the shit, and oh my God, this is what happened today, and it gives you something to talk about. Whereas a lot of my friends at the time when I was really doing the energetic hoarding of money, they were in a very similar place, and they weren't really receptive to me being my lovely, delicious woo-woo self that I am. And so I created myself in a way that would make me acceptable to them.
Can
So
I
I,
a question? And what's behind that? Sorry, it's an intro class, but hey, we don't do intro with Lorene. Me and Lorene don't do intro.
no, not really. Not really. So what was behind that for me? In this 10 seconds, in this instant, I hear a want to be accepted, a desire to be accepted. And I'm waiting for it. What was behind that?
Is that coming from creating or proving?
Proving, totally.
Is it working for you? Has it
No.
worked for you? Okay.
Not financially.
Yeah.
To fit into that reality, absolutely it worked. Totally. For me and what I actually truly desire in my life, no.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And that's why a lot of those people that were around at that time when I was doing that most consistently are no longer in my world now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were hoarding them too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where did you send them to? The op shop or?
I sent them to the op shop. I sent them down to the savers.
Op shop is a second-hand shop in Australia. So that way you donate things that you don't want anymore that's still functional, so you donate them to the shops. If you don't know what op shop is.
I don't know that Masami knows what an op shop is. We were just saying an op shop is a second-hand store. So like if you've got things that you no longer require in your world, like clothing or equipment or whatever, you can take it off to this place and they will resell it to people. Mm-hmm. So she's just saying, did I send these people who no longer worked in my world to the op shop? Oh no. Yes, they went to the op shop, or they went to the adoption center.
And lived a happily ever after. So I always enjoy asking this question when I'm making a choice. One thing is that am I choosing this from creation or from proving? Am I doing this to create or to prove something? Because it's so common that when we choose something, we know light and heavy tool, it can be so exciting. We're like, yeah, we're going for it. But if you're coming from, yeah, I so want to prove there's value, then if you're holding that, you need to prove that you have value or you have capacity in a certain area, then it doesn't give you the total freedom of creating what you truly desire and what's truly possible. And everywhere that we've been holding the need to prove, would you like to let it go, please?
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, Carol, for doing that for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can energetically hear it. It's like, yay, there she goes. Love it. And this is what teamwork's about. So I look at hoarding, like we can quite often get into hoarding with our friends and our friendship circles. So, and that's where the competition comes in. Competition for me is very much about hoarding. It's about hoarding our friendships and our connections and things. Now, I don't tend to work from competition. If anything, I do no competition, which is interesting as well. But As far as I go, like when people in my world like pop into my world and they're functioning from competition and they don't want you to play with anybody else, they get all jealous and stuff if you start playing with other people. As a friend, if you have like a really close friendship, like Huan and I have a close friendship, and yet I love it when I see her going to other countries and she's facilitating in other countries and having a fantastic time. And she's, going out to all these new places that she's never been at, and she's having such yummy food. And I'm like, yes, there goes my girl. She's flying. I love that. I love that because that also inspires me to choose something more for my life.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Whereas if I'm hoarding her, I'm going, no, what are you doing flying to another country without me? How dare you be doing stuff without me? Why aren't I there? Why haven't you got me there as your assistant? You bitch. And then
Honey, even my daughter and husband don't do that.
exactly. But there are people in our worlds that will do that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people you need to be really aware of. Because it's like, really? Do you want them really close in your world? Like, seriously. But also, you look at that and you go, what effect is that having on your life? Like, seriously, you're making them greater than you. That would mean I'm making Huan greater than me. I'm saying that I can't create that on my own, that I have to be as part of Huan. And that's energetically hoarding her and stopping her from creating more in her world, which isn't very nice. In fact, it's incredibly abusive to our friendship, and I don't desire to do that.
Yeah. And that's like creating a comfortable distance that you really, when you're holding that distance where it's just perfect. Like she's my best friend. We're always together. We don't change too much, or at least if we do change, we change at the same pace in the same direction, so we can stay as close as we always have been. Oh God, aren't you bored? Everything that I just brought up. Would you like to let it go, please?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really interesting when you start looking at the element and the entity of hoarding and how invasive it is in our world. It really is, as Gary said, a violence against the future. It's a violence against us creating more in our world. It's a violence against us being aware and open to the possibilities of brand new pathways if we're constantly hoarding everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we talk about future, let's just ask everyone here, what future would you like to create in 500 years? Lorene says at least 500 years, and I love it. What future would you like to create on this planet in 500 years?
Yeah, from now till 500 years' time.
Yeah.
And beyond. Yeah, whenever I ask what Juan's talking about there is whenever I'm asking what will this create, it's one of the questions we ask to see what energetically is possible, like when you're making a choice. And it's not necessarily about a black and white A and B choice, but often that's how it sort of presents itself. And it's like, so I say, truth, what will it create in 500 years if I choose this? Truth, what will it create in 500 years if I don't choose this? And my partner is he hates it sometimes when I do this because he's like, damn it, now I have to use my awareness. I can't think it out. I can't try and figure it out. And I'm like, good. Like even 5 years, like cause sometimes in Access, we talk about what will it create in 5 years' time. You still kind of try to figure that out. What that would possibly look like in 5 years' time. even if it doesn't make any logical sense, you still try to figure it out because we think we're that powerful to know what was going to happen in 5 years' time. Seriously, 5 years ago, did you think you would be here right now? I certainly didn't.
No.
No way.
More the past year than I have been in the past 5.
And that's the beauty of being a magical creator of magnitude, is that even from 1 year, we really can't think that where we would be in a year's time. So that's awesome. And I love that about, playing with the seekers of the world.
Yeah. So how much are we holding our logic and our mind, our vision? Like we always have vision and imagination board, vision board. Vision board. Using imagination, what kind of life would you like to create? The house you want to live in, the cars you want to live in. They never tell you though. It's about the energy that you create when you create a vision board. It's not about the exact house or exact car. And no one has told you if this dream, say 50 years, I mean, you see where you're retiring, you see the house that you're retiring. Even within 50 years, is this future actually exciting enough for you? Is this future actually sending a chill down your spine that you can't wait to start creating right now? If not, what's the point of holding that?
Wow.
So how many definitions of future, definitions, conclusions, projections, judgment, decisions of the future you thought you wanted to create, but that's actually not the future you desire to create. It's everyone else's future that they think they should have, and you also should, by the way, have it. Would you like to now let it go, please?
Yes. Oh, that was a good one. Ouch.
Honey, I've been translating COP menu, so I'm in the long clearing sentence mode at the moment.
I can tell. You're awesome. You're awesome. So we haven't really touched on the body stuff.
Oh my God.
We've got
have enough question time for everyone? I love this stuff. Please start.
If you guys have got any questions, please just interrupt us because we can definitely talk forever. We do. We love it. Carol, do you guys have any questions? Are you just happy running bars?
Happy running bars and listening to you ladies. It's
thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Cool. I'm going to take a guess. For who?
I call her June or Marella. What would you prefer? June.
Yeah, I'm getting June. It's a June day.
At the moment.
Thank you for joining us. And Masami, do you have anything to add right now? Any questions? Oop.
You scared her away.
I did.
Not so much right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Lorene has something yummy about body.
So when we hoard the energies in our body, what does that look like to you? For me, oh yes, see, I knew Masami would have something.
May I a little bit, just a little bit, disturb you? Let me. I think for me, the barriers of the very thick, and when you do the energy pull barrier, I cannot pull down the barrier easily, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can actually give you an idea on that one. What classes have you done in Access, honey?
Only bars practitioner, not foundation yet.
Okay,
I'm
so as a bars, with bars, when was your last class?
well, last May.
Okay.
Last year.
I think
All right.
Last
Did
year,
you?
next was it out?
Yeah. Was Becca Mix in your manual?
in the first manual in 2017 or 16,
Mm-hmm.
I learned a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
We will chat more about that later.
Please, a little bit, please.
Yeah. That's something that we can talk about outside of this call. All right. So that's cool. And that I've just given you a hint about that one. But yeah, Juan or I can certainly give you some awareness around what that could be, and why it's difficult for you to pull down your barriers. So just aware of that, and touch base with either one of us after the call finishes. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So energetically hoarding of your body. So I'll tell you a fun little trick. How often when we split up with a husband do we go, oh my God, I just lost 120 kilos? And people go, huh? And you're like, yeah, I just got rid of him. Energetically, though, it's also very true. We hoard our partner's bullshit onto our bodies and we hold it into our bodies. And when we are doing that, we tend to gain weight. And also, with all of that, I know for me, when I'm not energetically in the flow with the earth and the universe, when I'm energetically hoarding my own energy from flowing beautifully with the earth and the universe, I gain water weight. So my feet and my ankles swell up because I'm hoarding my energy for me rather than sharing it with the earth and the universes. And whether that's true for you or not, that it's no worries to me, but that's something I know is true for me, of how my body works and how it actually is talking to me all the time. So it's like, how much do you energetically hoard within your body of your own potencies and capacities, where if you actually allowed it to flow and allowed it to be, would be such a huge contribution to those around you and to the earth and to the universes and yourself. So anything that doesn't allow that, will you please destroy and uncreate it and let it all go now, please?
Yes.
Cool.
Wow.
How about you?
I love what you just said, because we like everyone have a different way of looking at things, and I don't think I hold my husband. Like, he's pretty free. I'm pretty free. And at the same time, if you let's do an exercise. If you tap into the molecules of your body, the cells of your body, and really talk to them as a friend, ask the cells, how fast are you changing? How fast are you willing to change? Just like the relationship, ask the body, how fast are you capable of changing? And how much space are you comfortable with? That will be nourishing you, that will be expanding your universe, which is probably bigger than this universe. Don't be surprised, and you won't disappear. Now, and ask the body one more question. How fast can you change shape and form? Are you created moment by moment? And how many of you have tried to get rid of um, the extra 2 kilograms that just does not shed? How many of you have been trying to, I don't know, trim your waist to the model size, and it has never worked? How many points of view are you using to hold the shape, the unchangeable 2 kilo or 10 kilo or whatever kilo that you have judged your body as having too much. And how much of that are actually holding the body from changing instantaneously? How? Everything that is sounds like a zillion. Would you like to destroy and uncreate it all, please?
Yes. Oh, I adore you.
Doesn't apply to me at all. I only notice it when I put my jeans on. Oh, you're still here. Okay.
That's all right. Just stand next to me and nobody will notice.
No. And now I look at it, I judge it, and I'm like, okay, I let go of judging it and I forget about it. And my husband will go, look at mommy's love handle, Anya.
Oh,
That's
Ellen.
not love handle, only sideways love handle, front ones don't count. Paul and Pog.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
And how many points of views are we using, and how many definitions are we using to hold the unchangeable body we are choosing?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good one. We could just be like the men folk and call it a love pivot.
I'm a bit
That one
lost
just
here.
So often men with their big beer bellies,
Uh-huh.
you know how you have a pivot like
Oh,
for like a seesaw?
Uh-huh.
They call their belly a love pivot.
Okay.
You got it now? And what if we could just do that with our lives and our bodies and everything? What if we could be more like the men folk and just turn it into a joke, something to not take so seriously?
Mhm.
You know, I often look at things like, who do we shave our legs for? Really? Because out of all the guys I've been with, there's only been one who was a gaslighting narcissist who actually cared if my legs were hairy or not. Now, I know. So exactly, who do we shave our legs for? Who do we, you know, do all this external stuff for, rather than just showing up as us, however we look on a particular day? And do you do that to look good for you, to make you feel better, or to make someone else feel better and to be acceptable in their world, and therefore hoarding their points of views about how you should look and how you should show up on a particular day?
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Because how much more attractive is a person who is just being them, even in tracky decks and a t-shirt? If they're being them and they're truly enjoying who they be and are just happy in themselves, and they don't have to be wearing a skirk of makeup, they don't have to be having their hair all professionally done or anything like that. They could have big huge hairy armpits and, you know, tree trunks for leg, like as in bushy leg things going on, and they still are so attractive and someone you really want to hang out with and enjoy their company, because they're just truly being them and not hoarding everybody else's points of views of what's acceptable in this world for them to show and how they choose to show up. So everything all that just brought up. Let's let it all go. Oh dear. Well, my darling, we were only supposed to chat for 30 minutes. We knew that that was not going to happen.
Yeah. Can we finish on another clearing? Like,
Of course.
much.
It's our call. We can do whatever we like.
Like just to expand from what Lorene's talking about, where we hoard what people think we should look. How many of us and how many other people's reality are we holding? Like how much are we holding other people's reality? So we never ever start creating our own reality right now, or being our own reality. That's okay. You can hold on to it if you don't want to clear it. Hold on it forever. You're precious. It's comfy. At least you know other people are in the same cesspool.
Creating those beautiful points of connections with each other. How nice. How nice.
So, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? So, we have a question for you, beautiful people.
Yes.
Would you like more of this conversation? If you would like some more of this conversation, let Huan and I know, and we'll create a proper paid call a bit later on when she's not necessarily flying around the world in 80 days like she does.
I'll be back in January.
She'll be back in January. And I love that about her. She's got a lot of big classes to go to over the next month and a half. So I'm so fucking excited for her. I'll be tapping in energetically, being a nice little, beautiful, friendly sucker that I am.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
And obviously contributing back to her while she's doing these lovely classes for us all. So yeah, if you'd like some more and you'd like us to go even deeper, because we have tried to keep it pretty light today, please let us know and we will create something very early in the new year for you all. Okay, so let us know, and otherwise have fun out there, people, and enjoy unhoarding yourselves.
Exactly. And I do wonder if you start your 2019 with unhoarding and create so much space, I don't know what your 2019 is gonna be like. I don't know, like a rocket that's so fast you can't even see the rocket. I just get excited of those images. Your choice. So let us know if you want more. If not, happy creating.
Absolutely. And thank you so much to everybody who's joined us today live and also into the future watching the replay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
You're
you.
so welcome. Happy barzing.
Yes, enjoy.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you, Masami.
Bye.
Thank you, Jim. Bye.